let's talk about the actual explant itself. First and foremost, I want to emphasize the importance of having your implants taken out the correct way. So if you are thinking about having an explant, or if you have already had a consult for an explant, please listen to this. So what you need to have done is called an en-bloc total capsulectomy. That means that they take out the implant with the capsule around it all at once, and they do not leave any remaining capsule tissue in there. There's a couple of reasons this is really important. So for one, kind of like I mentioned before, your capsule can attach to other areas of your body, like mine attached to my rib cage. If you leave capsule tissue in there, it does not just go away. It is very possible for it to continue growing. It can continue to grow into your rib cage. It can continue to grow around your lungs. There was actually a woman who had her capsules left in, and they grew up and around her heart, and she developed a heart condition. But the capsule can continue to grow, which is obviously not good for your body. You don't want to do that. But another reason is if there is anything bad inside of your capsule or inside of your implants, whether that be mold, like saline implants are really well known for having black mold in them. If they have bacteria, if there are cancer cells, which by the way, there is a type of cancer that is specific to breast implants, particularly the textured gel implants. It's called BIA-ALCL, which stands for breast implant associated anaplastic large cell lymphoma, and that is a type of cancer that is an immune cancer, and it is caused by breast implants. If you have anything in there like bacteria, mold, yeast, different strains of infections, women have had strains of infections inside their capsule, whether you have cancer cells in there, that's all housed within the capsule. So if you don't take that out, you're exposing your body to whatever is inside of that capsule, which can be a very, 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 very bad thing. I think for obvious reasons, but if you expose your body to yeast, to bacteria, to cancerous cells, to strains of infections, bad things are going to happen. You could possibly die. So it is very important to have your capsule taken out with your implant in an en-bloc total capsulectomy. It takes a very experienced surgeon to be able to do that. Not all surgeons are able to. So that's why it's super important for you to find the appropriate surgeon that can take your implants out the right way. It's also very, very difficult at times to scrape out the capsule tissue if it's really lodged in there, if it's grown up into here, if it's thin, it's very hard to take out thin capsules. So if you go to the healingbreastimplantillness.com website, there's actually a list of explant surgeons all around the United States and in some other countries as well. So definitely check that out. You want to make sure you're finding the appropriate surgeon that will take it out the correct way. If a doctor tells you you don't need to have it taken out, I personally would just shy away from going to see that doctor. It doesn't matter how thin the capsule is. If you have an experienced doctor, they can take it out. For example, if you've ever seen Dr. Chun's Instagram, he does not put implants in anymore. He does a lot of explants. He used to put implants in, but now he won't. But he is very, very experienced, and he's posted a lot of posts of very, very thin capsules. Everything ranging from the thinnest capsules you could ever imagine to very thick, very calcified capsules. So find one that can take it out. My surgeon, Dr. Brian Lee in Fort Wayne, Indiana, was absolutely amazing. He was like, yes, we are going to get that capsule out. We are going to get it out from everywhere. There will be none of it left. It also requires a longer procedure. So I had an explant and a lift, and my procedure took a little over 4 hours. So it was a very, very long surgery, especially when you compare it to having your implants put in, which only takes about 30 to 60 minutes. A lot of that is because, one, you're only having an implant put in. But when they put it in implant, a lot of times they use what's called a Keller funnel. And that's part of why your incision is so small when you have implants, is they just literally pop it in there with this thing called a Keller funnel. Keller funnel. Now, because you can't just pop it out with a Keller funnel, and because you have to get rid of all the capsule tissue and everything, my scars are about from here to here, along with my lift scars, which are like a lollipop shape around there. But my scars are much, much longer now. They're probably 3-4 inches at least on each side. I don't really care about that. Like, they'll fade. I'd rather have my life back. No harm, no foul. But you want to make sure you have a surgeon that can take it out the proper way, gets everything out, has your health in mind, does everything well, does everything safely. That is like number one concern. So if you watched the last video, you saw some of the clips from my explant. Super, like, really was not bad at all, other than me being paranoid about going under anesthesia. I hate anesthesia. I had to be at the surgery center at 6 a.m. that morning, and they did all my vitals. They did all of that good, happy stuff. They got me in my gown. They got me hooked up to an IV. Everything that you would expect from surgery. Dr. Lee came in to see me. He marked me up. Anesthesiologist came in to see me. All that good stuff. They rolled me back at around 7:15 in the morning, and I remember rolling back into the operating room, and there were 2 nurses, one on each side, and I was just laying back, and I saw the anesthesiologist come over. And when I had my implants put in, I hate anesthesia. I hate it so much. It makes me very, very anxious. when I had them put in, it was just the one that like stuck up your nostrils. Like that was it. I was like, okay, I can handle that. This time, it was the one that goes over your mouth and your nose like this. As soon as he put that on my face, you could see my eyes get really big. My heart rate started going up. I was like, oh no. And the nurse was like, okay, go to your happy place. Before I could even get to my happy place, it was like, lights out. I was out. I woke up at around noon and I was very, very nauseous because I hadn't been able to eat or drink, obviously. There was a lot of medicine in my body. So I was very nauseous. So I asked, there was a lot of medicine in my body. So I was very, very nauseous. So I just asked for some ginger ale and some crackers, and then I was allowed to go home. I slept from 2 to 5:30 that day, just took a nap, whatever. And I remember when I woke up, the first thing I did was I went to look at my eyes, because that is one of the biggest phenomenon, I don't know what's correct here. Someone tell me which one's correct. But one of the biggest things that women notice when they have their implants taken out is their eyes brighten almost immediately. And I was like, I don't expect this of my body. I went in with trying to have as few expectations as possible, but I looked at my eyes. I was like, I just want to see. So I flipped my camera over to the front camera and I was like, holy balls. This is insane. I took a picture. I sent it to Grant because he was training, getting my medicine while my mom and my sister were at the Airbnb with me. And he goes, did you edit that? And I was like, no. He was like, wow. Then when he got home, he was probably standing like 5-6 feet in front of me because I was in the bed and he was just standing at the edge. He goes, wow, that really is different. And it very much so was different. I'll pop the picture up on the screen. Undeniable. Undeniable. And yeah, so the next day I woke up and it was crazy. It was like someone had lifted a curtain off of my brain. There was a little bit of brain fog. I didn't realize how bad it was because I'm very much so bullheaded and I'll push through anything. But when I woke up the next day, I felt like I had a curtain lifted from my head. A lot of you guys have asked like what's improved so far, if anything. And it's been very surprising, like having so many improvements in such a short time frame. Today is exactly 3 weeks post-op. So first of all, pain levels throughout, like obviously I was in some pain. It felt more like soreness, like I had done a lot of heavy chest flies, especially right here from having the lift. But it was mostly just soreness, not necessarily sharp pain. I can't take heavy painkillers. They make me nauseous, so I can't take them. So I just took the muscle relaxer and Tylenol extra strength, and that was just fine. I only needed that for a few days, and then I started to wean myself off of them, which was no problem at all. I also have a fairly high pain tolerance, so your experience might be different, but I was able to wean off of those fairly quickly. Anyway, as far as improvements that I've seen so far, there have been quite a lot actually. So, first craziest one. I mean, you saw the eyes, brain fog gone. My dehydration started to go away nearly immediately. Now, obviously I wasn't training, so I wasn't expelling as much fluid, but I also wasn't taking as much in, at least for the first couple of days. I am back to my normal 2 gallons a day now, but I wasn't taking in as much fluids. And the fact that I did not wake up feeling dehydrated or have to chug water in the middle of the night was just like, wow. I stopped smelling bad. Literally the other day, Grant was here and he was giving me a hug and saying bye. And he was like, you really don't smell anymore. And I was like, you never said that I did in the first place. Like, I know that I did, but you never said that. He was like, I know, I didn't want to make you feel any worse. I was like, fair enough. But my smell went away, which is great because it was foul. But the craziest thing was the loss in inflammation. So when I would be on my stories with like a couple days after, you guys were like, oh my gosh, your face already looks so different. What? And I was like, I don't get it either. But craziest thing, I had an appointment with Dr. Serrano 9 days after my surgery. And whenever I go there, they know that I want to lose weight. They know that I'm not struggling with something like an eating disorder where you should not tell the patient anything about their weight. Like that's very contraindicated for eating disorder patients, but they just know that I don't want to know, but I do want to lose weight at some point in the hopefully near future. But so whenever I go in there, when they have to take your vitals and your weight and everything, I'm like, I don't want to know what it is. And I just turn around. And same thing. So I went in there, same thing. I was like, I don't want to know what it is. Don't tell me. I'm just going to turn around. So she takes my weight and the nurse does, and she looks at me and she goes, are you sure you don't want to know? And I was like, mm-hmm. And she was like, well, I will tell you, you've lost 10 pounds since you were in here a little over a month ago. And I was like, you don't say. Because that did not happen leading up to surgery, because based on my progress pictures and how my clothes fit and my measurements, things were not getting any better at all. But I could feel it. When I went back to school the Monday after my surgery, I put on a belt that I literally bought like 4 or 5 days before surgery for Sarah's birthday. And I had to have that belt on like the second notch. When I went to go put it on the Monday after my surgery, I needed to tighten it beyond the last notch. So like just inflammation disappearing in droves day by day by day, which is so, so amazing. Another thing is I just feel excited to wake up every day. I just feel excited to be alive, which is something that I did not feel for a very long time. When I go to my therapist, I'm really like, I'm sorry, I don't have a ton to talk about. Like, things are pretty good, which for the longest time I was like, can't relate to that. But the last few times I've gone to see my therapist, I'm like, yeah, things are pretty good. I don't really have a lot to talk about, which is great. Like, it's just nice to look forward to life and to feel hope and to feel excitement. So yeah, things have been looking up day by day by day. And I just am so grateful to be here right now. And I know a lot of people that maybe aren't as open-minded are like, oh, well, this is just a trend. People having their implants taken out is just a trend now. Firstly, it's not just a trend. Women were starting to have complications with their implants as early as the 70s and 80s. So it's not just a thing now. What I do think is a thing now is we have the internet, which just promotes the dissemination of people's stories and information. It just promotes that. So more and more people are sharing. And I think that's a good thing. In this case, I think it's a very, very good thing. So it's making more women aware of the possibility for this. But I promise, I don't know anyone who would just be like, hey, you know, I really need an Instagram post and a couple of stories for next week. So yeah, I'm gonna drop like several grand on getting my implants taken out. That sounds like a good idea. Put that on the schedule. Content calendar. No. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. No one does that. And especially not something that women usually put in their bodies to help them feel more physically confident in themselves. I don't think that getting that taken out is just like for sake of a trend. But it's just becoming something that more women talk about and more women consider, which I think is so important. And I think it really speaks to the fact that there are people out there, not just women, but people out there with strange medical conditions. And a lot of times when those people go to doctors and doctors can't figure out what's wrong with them, they're just passed off as a crazy person or a hypochondriac or something. And I think that really speaks to the fact that even if we don't understand what someone is going through, and this is what's meant, part of what's meant so much to me about Dr. Serrano is even when we would try things and they wouldn't work, he never just passed me off as crazy. You know, he was always there to listen and be like, okay, well, like, let's try this. And so I think that's so important that even if we don't know what someone is going through, what's medically wrong with them, what's mentally wrong with them, which I don't think it's necessarily wrong when someone has a mental illness, but when somebody has something that they don't feel is right within their body, within their self, that they can't explain, I think we just need to listen to them. We need to not make fun of them. We need to not just cast them out. We need to not just call them crazy. We need to not just be like, well, let's put you on whatever and hope for the best. We need to listen and we need to just be more empathetic with each other. And that's all we really need to do. That's all we need. You know, the fitness industry especially, first of all, it's an industry where implants are super, super common because we lose most of our breast tissue when we start getting fitter because they are just body fat. But the fitness industry and like fitness should be a space where people come to live their best life and to be happy and to be joyful and to be energetic and to be healthy and just to thrive. It shouldn't be a place where we're making fun of each other and where we're lacking empathy, you know? I think the fitness space in general, not just with issues like this, but just in general, so like mini rant, the fitness industry should be an uplifting place. It should be a place where people can go and feel safe and feel like they are in a safe place to pursue their best life, however that looks for them. And I think as influencers, as content consumers, as just fitness enthusiasts in general, as coaches, as trainers, as whatever we are, as physical therapists, whatever we are, I think that we just need to do the best that we can to make sure that when someone goes into fitness, it is that space for them. It's the space that they need in order to feel safe and like they're going to make a positive change in their life. So yeah, that's been my experience. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just somebody that's been through some tough shit and is finally starting to figure it out. And I can assure you, day by day by day, I feel better and I feel more like me. And I was talking to Grant the other day, probably about a week ago, and I was like, the only thing I can think of, I've just had this feeling. The only thing I can think of is I feel just more in alignment with myself. And that's the best thing. Like, that is the coolest freaking most amazing thing in the whole world. And even you guys have been like, you just seem so much more like the Emily that I knew and loved. And I know that it's not necessarily my fault, even though it is my fault because I made the choice to get implants, but I didn't know any better. But I'm sorry that I haven't been that for a while. Like, I've been very insecure. I've been very just not want to be present for people. Like, and I was so desperate. Like, I would do anything. Like, I tried getting cool sculpting to try and help with just trying to feel more like myself in my body. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with people that do cool sculpting, or like, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just not me. And it's just nice to feel like me again. And to know that I have the work ethic and the health now to go after whatever I want. And so yeah, that is my explant story. And I'm so excited for this new journey in my life and this new phase in my life. It's gonna be a wild ride. I don't know what my timeline is because I just have to work with my body and be like, hey, here's what we can do right now, here's what we can't. I did have my first lift back today and it was great. It was a lot harder than I anticipated just because I haven't trained in 3 weeks, so that's kind of to be expected, but it was good. It just feels good to move my body again and to just feel excited about training again and to not feel scared of going into training wondering what's going to happen. I'm very grateful. I'm relieved. I'm excited. I'm a lot of just good things, and that feels awesome to say. So if you guys have someone in your life that is interested in getting implants or has them, or if you're interested in getting implants or have them, please listen to this, please share this. Please just help get the message out there to women just so that they know. But they know what could happen. Not what's guaranteed to happen, but what could happen. All we can do is empower each other and ourselves to make our best, most informed decision with whatever it is that we do. And so it's my hope in putting out my story. It's not my hope to create a hysteria or to just scare people. Like, that's not the goal. The goal is to inform you guys and inform whoever watches this and to help them make their most informed decision for themselves. So yeah, that is going to be all for this video today. If you guys enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, subscribe if you haven't already. It's a good time over here. Follow me on Instagram at m_dunk. Listen to my podcast, Embody Radio. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Lots of fun places. And yeah, new chapter is beginning. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and for your patience with me getting it uploaded. You guys know I had some technical difficulties, but I'm so excited to be sharing this with you guys and to be sharing my story and my truth, and I hope that it helps someone. I love you guys so much. I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are. I hope you are happy. I hope you know that you are loved. You are so, so loved. And I hope you know that it is never a bad day to just try one more time, whatever that is for you. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!